that work building buildings and receive the sun and do a lot of exercise and eat very simple food, they're going to live 150 years.
I don't want to live 150 years
I don't
at all.
either. I don't either.
Period.
He spends a lot of money on
A lot.
trying to extend his life. But recently he got diagnosed with that gastrointestinal thing. And he said he'll dedicate time and money to figure out how to solve that. So we'll see.
But I'm telling your mom that he's so obsessed with the longevity that he wakes up every day at 5 in the morning and do all these different routines, you know, as taking the sun for 10 minutes naked and all these things. And of course, he has the economy power, but to do whatever he wants to do.
Yeah.
But anyhow, he has all these different drinks, right? So and here we are fighting against something that you will never, control.
Well, I have a surprise for him, because these workers that work building buildings and receive the sun and do a lot of exercise and eat very simple food, they're going to live 150 years.
I don't want to live 150 years.
I don't either. At all. I don't either.
Period.
I'm good with 80, 85, because I think you can still be pretty quality at that point. And,
I'm good at 90.
Okay.
90 if I'm going to have the same quality of life that Mama had.
Exactly.
If it is in our genes.
Well,
but if it isn't, goodbye at 80. No, 80 is, Mama is 80 this year, so let's not say that.
Not 80. Not 80.
I have a few weeks left.
Where you want to go, Anna? Where you want to go?
We're not predicting.
We're going to take a safari in Africa. Something that I never thought I would. Let's go to a
there
safari.
You go. It wasn't in your bucket list.
Exactly.
That's life.
But it became a reality.
Exactly. Well, this is perfect, because we're going to talk about some tips from some folks who actually are older than 100, who've been together, married for 80 years, and the tips they give for longevity. But before we do, let's do our cups first.
Oh, yes. Okay,
this
is a small world. It's a small world.
I got a nice one.
Oh.
Grandma's birthday celebrating. And in the back it says, can you read?
Dios nos dio memoria para nunca olvidar.
Ajá. A los que amamos. Isn't that nice?
Very nice. And then mine.
The world's best
boss. Which is not really true. It's from a show.
Of course it is true.
Those people who watch will know the reference.
I hope they watch and learn.
They better.
Yeah, well, we joke, but we do hope, it sounds like we all hope, that we want to live through a point that we still have all of our faculties, that we're living a quality life. Historically, I think we have a lot of people on your side, Mom, who lived well into their 90s, and pretty much, some had some physical issues, but cognitively they were pretty sound, and certainly Grandma is one of those examples, almost 100. So,
I would say 100. It was only a week left for 100.
Right. Pretty much 100.
It's funny. It's like Betty White, so sweet. She was going to be 100 like 3 days later. So we have to say 100.
I think it's okay to round up to 100. So it made me think, because we've talked about health and wellness a lot. And then this article popped up on this married couple. They've been together for 80 years.
Dear
My
Lord.
God.
They're both one is 100, one's 101.
Oh my God.
Amazing, right? Amazing to be together 80 years and then to live
and alive together.
Yeah. So of course there were questions about what tips would you give people out there. So I'm going to share what they shared, and then you tell me what you think. I think it challenges some of the things that we think we need to do a little bit, and it kind of throws off some of it. So eat a broad array of food.
Anna was right.
We are wrong.
Try a little bit of everything.
Yes, because they say, of course, they eat the healthy stuff, some fruits, like bananas, blueberries, but they still go out to restaurants and enjoy country style steak, which is fried.
Oh my gosh.
So they
Wow.
balance some of it, but some of it is stuff we would say, should you be eating fried food? I don't know. I mean,
At that
And there
age,
you are.
clearly.
you know what? I have to make a comment. At that age, I mean, they're blessed that they're hungry and they can eat that kind of food.
Mhm.
Because, for instance, my mama, I can notice that she was less and less appetizer
Yes.
for, that kind of food.
Yeah. Yeah. And part of it is a
Use it.
social thing for them too, because they go to McDonald's on occasion to meet with their friends. So
Good. Lovely. Well,
it
we can
works
pick
for
out
them.
In and Out instead of McDonald's once in a while.
This one I think we'll agree with, because I think we've said a lot about this, but love with your whole heart.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And that's just been something consistent for them.
That is wonderful because, for example, you can have some.
Oh, we lost Aunt Lauda. I think
We
she
lost the
disagrees.
tia.
She disagrees.
You can have a negative feeling about someone, especially if they hurt you or, they were mean to you, etc. And if you have enough love in your heart, it sounds, like they say, like cliche. But if the love is more than that, you just let it go. You don't have to accept the person. You just let it go. That's a positive way of thinking. That's true.
Yeah. That's attitude, right?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, in the
Just don't
other
hate.
example will be like having faith. And you are always with peace in your heart. So anything can go, or you won't see it as dramatic as it is, or whatever, right? You're more flexible. And of course, love means service, charity, mercy to the other person, empathy to the other person, right? So all these qualities, I would
Right.
say.
Because a huge
And-
part of that is not saying I only love you for these things, these other
Exactly.
things it's sort of
Yes,
allowing
exactly.
for those other things.
Exactly.
Would you agree, Mom?
Accepting.
I was going to say that it's difficult to feel positive and loving when you're going through a difficult situation and you really feel like hanging that person, but you have to pass that and say, okay, if I need to take a breather. And of course, if you don't have to be or live with a person like that, you don't have to.
Mhm.
But I guess that loving is like, don't let hate grow in your heart instead of enjoying other things.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which ties into their third point a little bit because, and certainly this is something that we bring up in my work, is that even though you're married, you still have to have some level of independence. And sometimes that
Exactly.
can be the point of contention, is like
Very
you do all
good.
these things on your own or with your own friends or whatever, but healthy relationships have that balance of like, I want you to maintain the things that are important to you. And sometimes you do that separate from me, right? You do those independently. And so that's been a key for this couple, is recognizing where they need their independence. Would you?
Good. That's really
Very
nice.
good. That's a
It
very
speaks
good, yeah.
very nice of the couple and of the person as well,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
They're not they're secure for themselves. They're how you call that, the self-esteem is good, right?
Exactly.
Because I trust you, you trust me.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a matter of trust. That's true.
Mhm.
I mean, they're not going to disappear for, days or hours without end. They're going to tell you, I'm going here or there. But you don't have to be on top of, in when is it that you're coming back and where is it and with who? I mean, I'm sure they're open, telling each
Yeah.
other what they're doing.
Right. Within
They're
reason, right?
friends.
Like how they can stay in touch while they're not with each other, so they know if there's an emergency or
Yeah.
something.
Exactly.
And that independence also works for them as a couple. Like their kids help them, but they also respect their parents' independence, which we talked about recently in talking about helping aging parents. So they're in their own home still, and the
Wonderful.
kids help them by bringing groceries, helping with pickups of medication, stuff like that, to minimize them having to do all these other chores. But the family respects that they're still in a position, healthy wise, to be able to live in their home, and they respect them as a couple being independent that way.
Lovely.
Wonderful.
That's so nice.
Yeah, they socialize as often as possible. Which, like I said, sometimes they do that at McDonald's, but they have a lot of other things they do to maintain.
That's fun.
McDonald's.
That's very nice.
And we've talked about that, right? The importance of staying socially connected.
Socially, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like your mommy, at least she goes out 2 or 3 days a week with the friends
Mm-hmm.
to eat.
Very true. Some weeks I feel like, oh my goodness, I have 2, 3 visits, but it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Sharing and whatnot.
Yeah. Having support from the people that are important to you, and again, to socialize and to get a break from your day-to-day stuff, and for you to stay active too, right? It's not always centered around eating, but it could be doing activities together.
Yeah.
Because,
Talking about
during
things.
that time, you usually enjoy talking and you even laugh, which is
Mhm.
wonderful therapy.
Mhm.
You even joke, right? And I
Exactly.
mean, it's just having a good time.
Exactly.
Exactly.
I go to visit this dear friend and co-worker. I don't know if she has a chance to see our program. People should, but it's not easy for her to go out. She has this condition, and I go visit very happily. We talk about everything.
Yeah.
She's very well, learned and whatnot, up to date with the news and the situations. So that time we spend together, it really goes fast.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And the last thing they do is they stay active. Of course, they've had to modify some of the
Mhm.
things they've done because the husband uses a walker and a cane and those kinds of things. But the husband wakes up at 4 a.m., sits on the floor and touches his toes,
Oh my
and
goodness.
he moves around
Oh,
the house all day, making sure he's
okay.
moving, And they used to walk together 2 miles a day in the mall, but they've had to modify that a little bit. But they still find ways to stay physically active, right? Which is important too for longevity.
Very, very, because if we don't move, and I know there are times that we're watching a movie or one of those marathon movies and you don't move for, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 hours, you can feel it
Mm-hmm.
when you begin to move. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Exactly. Yeah. So I thought that was
That's
an interesting
wonderful.
article, and it touched on a lot of things that we've talked about before.
Yes, very nice.
Completely.
And
And,
have
and
you
where do
heard
they
about
live?
this
They live in the
guy?
States?
Oh, say again?
Do
Louder?
they live in the States?
Oh, I was going to mention,
Oh,
yeah, the two old couple, you mean, Anna? I'll go ahead, ask.
I was going to ask, where are
We're
they
going to try,
from?
Chris.
We're all talking at the same time. It gave us a lot of enthusiasm.
I know.
Are they from the
They
States?
should be American citizens, are they? Or they should be
Yes.
Japanese?
They're American.
Because
Wonderful.
I was going to mention there are two documentaries in this program in the TV. One is to live longevity or to live more than 100 years, the blue zone.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
And they
yes.
mention different, places and how they react. And it's more or less the same. Keep in touch, keep in community, be active. And the other commentary that I was going to make is that I just heard recently there is this person, American entrepreneur. His name is Brian Johnson.
Mhm.
So I think he's very obsessed for longevity because he's I would say extremely worried about it and doing extreme habits, right?
Mm-hmm.
So and unfortunately, I think that they just recently detect some kind of illness that is autoimmune. So it's a heavy one. So again, we're not God. I mean, God knows when is the time correct. Just live today as the last day.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, and I think he's it's interesting because when he was diagnosed, he came out publicly right away and said that he wants to dedicate his energies to trying to cure this, and that this will be his goal, is to cure this.
Okay.
Which is wonderful if you have the resources to invest in it. And
Exactly.
I think there's still an internal drive to keep pushing the limits of longevity, which is good for him. I just hope, like you say, that in the process he has a quality life, right? Because sometimes you can get so obsessed with something, right? Some end goal, and you miss the point, right?
Exactly.
Like,
you forget the
I wondered
enjoyable time.
if he has too much anxiety on doing all these things in the goal of living so old, but so much anxiety on that you're missing things.
Yeah. And
I don't know.
I haven't seen the documentary, so I don't know what made him start to focus on this. Because, like you said, he's an entrepreneur, so I don't know that he was always this focused on this. I don't know if you know. Did you hear
No,
why?
I haven't watched it neither. So I think it's a good documentary I will
I
look
didn't
for
know.
to watch. But yeah, I don't know what it was, what became obsessed for him, to do and to look young and to do all these things that we already know, nutrition, activity, but he's very extremely,
Like extreme.
worry about it, and
Yeah.
all these supplement and all these juices and all this food and all this, and like this couple, for instance, they enjoy going to McDonald's.
Yeah.
Exactly.
101
You
year.
have to take care of your health, but in a
Maybe he's
sensible
not.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of variety there. I don't know.
Exactly. Now that you say something like colitis that has to do with the immune system.
Gastritis, yeah, colitis or gastritis.
Yeah.
Your immune system. I'm wondering because I've read on several occasions, and long before COVID, for example, we're getting a lot of illnesses that has to do with immune system. I wonder what are we eating, or what is it that now is your immune system is a immunological, this and that and the other.
I don't know, because I'm like you. I've noticed that too. A lot more autoimmune diagnoses surfacing, and I'd be curious. I don't know if it's just we're better at diagnosing now, and it's always been there, or if there's something that has changed that is now coming to the surface, like you said, right? More common, or like after COVID, did people become more susceptible to certain things, which has been some of the discussion. There have been some long-term effects for people who did get COVID in the beginning. They still feel the long-term effects of that. So that might be a good topic for another day in terms of some of the trends that
do
we're
some
seeing.
investigation.
That's right.
But
because, talking about health and nutrition, and if we're eating something that is affecting our immune system, or what is it? But I remember again, as a child, it was until the late 50s, I think, at least in Mexico, here probably before, when they began to do this packaged food, so that you would sit down in front of the TV. The TV was a new thing.
Dinner.
The TV dinners. And from then on, and I know that now is supposed to be more natural, or, but we began to eat, I don't know, because before that you had to go to the market.
Right. Well, think about it. The TV dinner was frozen, so super processed, right? So we can only imagine what was in some of the early TV dinners. And that's still an issue, right? With a lot of our food is super processed. And I think the dilemma is that a lot of argument in terms of how food is made available, certainly here in the US, I'm not sure in Mexico what the discussion is, but a lot of the cheaper, more processed foods are the things that are readily available to most people, especially now that economically there's a big divide between people who have a lot of money and people who have no money. And so what I can eat, what's accessible to me, what can feed the most of my family is not always the best stuff. You have to really find options that are healthy and affordable,
Totally. But the good thing here in Mexico that you still, when you go you still find when you go to these little towns very far away, nobody cares and nobody knows them, they still eat like the old times. This is, the lady cooking or doing the tortilla and
From
in the
scratch.
comal and all this wonderful food. And I mean, even the smell. There is also a documentary that, there is some uh, YouTubers or whatever, they go around the world to see the food,
Oh,
and
that's
they have been in
interesting.
these places. It's wonderful. And
Hmm.
these ladies and these men, they live until 100 years, but we don't know because they're very,
It's not well known.
yeah, it's not well known.
Yeah.
They're hide from the society and from the big cities.
Yeah.
They live in a wonderful place, empty, without no cars, no
Can you
traffic.
imagine that?
They walk to the school. They walk to get this
Walking.
grocery. They walk for everything. Like I notice in Europe nowadays, in many places, they're using the bikes everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very few
they
cars,
use bicycles more.
bicycles. So that's wonderful.
Yeah, that activity that certainly in a lot of parts of the US we don't have. We're very
No.
car dependent or public transportation dependent.
Mhm.
We don't have a car.
I wonder because that's the way it's made the cities. You have to use a car in so many here in California, at least I'm sure other cities, you have to go into the freeway to go some way. But it's sad. It's sad because, it takes an effort. It's not as comfortable as you go into your car and you drive. You're going in your bicycle, but it's good for one, to do that exercise. We just don't want to lose the comfort, I guess.
I don't know, maybe that's the question. Why do people depend so much on that instead of walking is challenging for distance, but biking or some alternative to be active?
Definitely.
Completely.
Well, on the opposite end of being healthy and longevity, I stumbled on this other article that's just wild to me because we're having conversation about aging gracefully, and part of that included taking care of your skin, right? SPF, which we know for many decades now we've heard is important. And there's a trend right now with a lot of influencers where they are doing the opposite. No SPF, no sunscreen, and excessive tanning.
Oh
They
my goodness.
use an oil, but I don't even know if oil has any protections just to get extra tans.
Oh
Oh
my
my
goodness.
God, no way. And to be tan and beautiful. And of course it's because they're YouTubers and they want to be popular. And I bet they're beautiful because they're teenagers. And with this beautiful tanning color, wait until you grow up, girls.
I remember when I was young, it's all like I seem to be saying, but when we were I remember we would use, I don't know if we had the SPF, whatever number that you need to have to protect your skin.
Yeah.
I think we would put coconut oil. Just imagine you were frying under the sun. And I couldn't stand it because the sensation of the oil, kind of, I would go out for a little while. I'm talking to you 17, 18 years of age. So I wonder, that's what they think. Oh, I want to have a tan. And
well, I remember when we went to the beach, Mazatlan, for instance, you know what we use? My cousins and myself, we put baby oil and drops of ionis. How you call that? Iodine.
Iodine, yeah.
3 or 4. And of course, the thing became red, right? And you put it in your skin, and all of a sudden, all your skin became Anna's blouse, right? And of course, in the night, you couldn't even walk. I can't believe we did that. We couldn't even walk because of the pain.
I don't know what the goal was.
Terrible. And of course, during, passing the time, days goes by and the red start becoming dark,
Right.
tan.
Right.
And of course, you start looking beautiful and whatnot and fresh and healthy. But before you know it, you came back from vacation and all the skin start peeling. It was terrible. I mean, horrible.
Well, now I'm wondering if even though we've always had, for a while now, we've had this information of the importance of it, there's still cycles of people doing wild things, because in my youth, in the late 80s, late 80s, I remember going to a beach in Texas with one of my cousins, and they did exactly that. They took coconut oil to get super tan. Of course, we'd moved a lot, but I think wherever we moved, I was super pale, as I am now. And I was like, where is the sunscreen? They're like, we don't have any, we have oil. And so I just remember them frying in the sun, and I literally blacked out. That's how strong the sun was. I blacked out. I fainted one time.
No.
Oh, no.
Of course, they panicked.
When did this happen?
I think I was like 9 or 10. I don't know if I shared that story with you, Mom, because I think they panicked and they're like, don't say anything, don't say anything.
No, of course not. They're going to kill us. They're going to kill us.
Probably in Corpus
That's
Christi.
how strong the sun was. And here they are frying in the sun.
Can you believe it now how the sun is? I mean, just go outside at 10 in the morning in the summertime.
Yeah.
You boil. I mean, it's really, you fry. You're
basically cooking yourself in the sun.
Exactly. Exactly.
So I don't understand the trend. I hope someone talks to these people and just tries to put some sense in them that the long-term effects, they are damaging. And even Mom, like you are very on top of seeing a dermatologist who routinely is checking your skin for damage. And
completely, because when I worked in the preschool for 20 years almost, or we would take the kids out to play, of course. And sometimes I would.
Hold that.
What happened to her?
I don't know. She wasn't interested in the story. So
no, you won't believe what happened to me.
Oh my goodness.
What?
So I did my tea, right? Beautiful, wonderful tea. Ginger, curcuma, and cinnamon. And I put on the side some rosemary in water. So you can boil and get, and water with rosemary. But I forgot. So all my house is smoking. It smells like smoke. And I go, what is that odor? I have to get up. It's already burned, and the whole thing is burned.
Sorry. Well, we stopped Mom's story so that she could continue with you.
Okay, tell me.
So back to checking with a dermatologist because...
Oh, that's right. When I worked in the preschool with the children for many years, like I said, we would, of course, take them out to play. I've been retired for over 10 years, but how many years ago? And sometimes I would wear a hat, sometimes I wouldn't. And I didn't realize, but in my 50s, because I started working probably in my 50s, because until we settled down here, but that's another story. The main thing was that recently, like in the last, 8-10 years, I began to have these little thingies that they call precancerous. So they already removed something from the nose. And of course, when they remove something, I hope these young people hear me, have a chance to see us. The nose is not left the same because they had to, scrape that. Yeah. And it's a real thing.
Yeah.
And if all of them are pale, that doesn't help.
Yeah. Well, so that's just a good example, because something that you started doing in your 50s, only in the last decade or so has the dermatologist been seeing things that could actually be precancerous. So what they're doing now, they may not see the effects of for a couple decades, but at least it could surface. And so I just hope it's a wake-up call for them to really think about that.
And they all the time warning that the sun is even worse. The ozone, I call that?
Ozone layers.
Yeah, it's even getting worse and worse every year.
And
That's why
a
we're
fact.
burning.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they need to circle back to the beginning of our conversation and really focus on things that increase longevity. And part of that is taking care of yourself. And that
Exactly.
putting us
Totally.
fun. Yeah.
Completely,
totally
because
agree.
I understand, in a way they're young. That is the fashion, if you will, or I don't know why someone comes up with that idea. And I know because we did it as young, people too. But it is a serious thing. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll give you that advice, young people, if you hear us. Please do not risk yourself to a cancer, skin cancer, even though you don't care about cancer or whatever you think, you better think it twice.
Totally. Totally. Well, that was a good conversation. We circled right back
Yeah.
to the importance of taking care of yourself.
Completely. We went all
Yes.
around.
Yeah.
All around. Toluca, Puebla, Mexico, Estados Unidos, and then we came back.
All
right
over
back
the
here.
place, but the idea is the same. Take care of yourself.
That we call it like that when you start talking about something and then you add some other information that doesn't have to do with this one and then the other one. And so you go all around and then you come up to the same point.
Right back. Because
Right
we had
back.
a point. We had a
Yes. Yes.
point. Well, real quickly, let's introduce ourselves. Mom.
Anna.
My tia.
Laura.
I'm Joanna, and we want to remind you whether it's good, bad, or funny.
Leave it
Live
Live
up.
it up.